It was 11:23 p.m. when I placed the order. Just a burger and fries. Something quick. I'd done it 100 times before. But this delivery, this one was different. The app said my driver was Mark. His profile picture showed a guy in his 30s, smiling. Normal. Except when I zoomed in, his eyes looked off, like they were slightly too wide. I shrugged it off. Glitches happen, right? Then the first red flag. His car wasn't moving on the map. The GPS showed him parked at the edge of my neighborhood for 17 minutes. No calls, no texts. I almost canceled. But then ping, Mark is on his way. And that's when I heard it. 3 knocks. Not a doorbell. Not a friendly tap. 3 hammering knocks, like someone was furious. I froze, because my security app showed no one on my porch. But the knocking didn't stop. I checked the app again. Order delivered. But my food wasn't there. Just as I was about to call support, my phone buzzed. A notification. Mark sent you a photo. It was a close-up of my front door. At first, I thought it was just proof of delivery, until I saw the timestamp. The photo was taken 30 minutes before I'd even placed my order. And worse, the angle was all wrong. It wasn't taken from the porch. It was taken from inside my house. My hands shook as I zoomed in. Reflected in the doorknob was a figure. Tall, thin, watching me. I called 911. The operator stayed on the line as I checked my security footage. The camera had glitched for exactly 3 minutes at 11:11 p.m. Just 3 bursts of static like interference. Then she asked a question that made my blood run cold. Did you hear 3 knocks? She'd heard them too. The police found 2 things. 1, a cold burger box on my porch. No fries, no receipt. Just a single bite taken out of the burger. And teeth marks that didn't match human jaws. 2, a note scribbled on the inside of the lid. You shouldn't have looked at the photo, but here's where it gets worse. When they checked the delivery app's records, Mark didn't exist. No driver history. No GPS logs. Just a blank profile labeled error. User terminated. The cops told me it was a prank, but I knew better. Because that night, as I tried to sleep, my doorbell camera triggered at 3:33 a.m. The footage showed a man in a delivery uniform standing perfectly still, face pressed against the lens, and in his hand, another burger box. The app notification read, Mark has accepted your repeat order. I moved out the next day. The police never found Mark. But a year later, I got an email from someone claiming to be a former app employee. They said 5 drivers had vanished in my area that month. All last seen delivering to glitched orders. All named Mark. And then they sent me one last thing. A screenshot of a customer's review from the night of my delivery. 1 star. Comment. Food was cold. Driver stared at me. Will report. The timestamp? Posted 12 minutes after the app claimed Mark was terminated. So if you ever order food late at night, and your driver's name is Mark, don't answer the door. And whatever you do, don't check the photo.
It was a little after midnight, and I was on my last delivery of the night. I worked for one of those food delivery apps, the kind that lets you track your driver's every move, so I always tried to be quick and efficient. The order came in for a house about 20 minutes outside of town, just far enough to make me think twice about accepting it, but I figured I could handle one more. The address seemed odd, though. As I drove out of the city, the streets grew darker, fewer houses appeared, and soon I found myself on a winding dirt road. My GPS kept recalculating, trying to get me back on track, but it insisted this was the right way. The uneasy feeling in my gut started as a faint whisper, but it quickly grew louder as I realized I hadn't seen another car for miles. I kept checking my mirrors, half expecting to see someone, but the road was eerily empty. I finally pulled up to the house, a single-story, run-down place at the edge of a wooded area. No lights, no signs of life. I thought about texting the customer, but before I could, a notification popped up.
Leave it at the door.
I stepped out of the car, and that's when I noticed it. Complete silence. No wind, no crickets, just the sound of my shoes crunching on the gravel as I walked toward the door. The air felt thick, like it was pressing in on me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I placed the bag on the porch, took a quick photo for proof, and turned to leave, when my phone buzzed. It was a message from the customer.
Wait. Don't leave yet.
I stopped dead in my tracks. There was no reason to wait, the instructions were clear. Just leave the food and go. But the message kept replaying in my head. Against my better judgment, I stood there for a moment, staring at the dark house, wondering if someone was inside watching me. Then, another message.
Can you come around back?
No way. There was no way I was doing that. I quickly walked back to my car, got in, and locked the doors. As I put the key in the ignition, my phone buzzed again.
We can see you.
A chill ran down my spine. I scanned the area, but the porch light didn't come on. The windows were black. How could they see me? My heart pounded in my chest as I threw the car into reverse and sped out of there, gravel spitting under my tires. I didn't look back until I was on the main road, and even then, I half expected to see headlights tailing me. But there was nothing. No cars. No people. Just an empty road leading me back to town. As soon as I got home, I reported the incident to the app. I thought that would be the end of it, just a creepy experience to laugh off later. But the next night, when I checked my phone to start my shift, I saw it, a new delivery request. The address? The same house. The message this time?
Don't run. We'll be waiting.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more terrifying horror stories. I've been delivering food for about 2 years now. You know, nothing special, just a side hustle to make some extra cash. For the most part, it's a pretty easy gig. Drive to the restaurant, pick up the order, drop it off. But what happened that night still makes my skin crawl. It was a Thursday. Late shift, just after midnight. I was about to call it quits when I got a ping, a delivery request from this small Chinese place downtown. The payout was decent, and it wasn't too far, so I figured, why not? The pickup was smooth, but the drop-off location was strange. The address took me to the outskirts of the city. Not quite rural, but far enough that there weren't any streetlights around. The kind of area where you wouldn't stop unless you had to. My GPS led me to this long, unpaved road, winding between thick trees. It was pitch black. I slowed down as I reached the end of the road. There was a single house in the distance, barely visible in the dim light of my headlights. No other homes around, no signs of life. I remember feeling uneasy, but I brushed it off. It's just a delivery, I told myself. I parked the car and grabbed the food, walking up to the house. It looked abandoned. The front yard was overgrown, windows dirty, and the porch light was flickering, barely hanging on. But there were signs that someone lived there, faint light coming from inside, and a car parked in the driveway, half covered in a tarp. I knocked on the door. No answer. Knocked again. Still nothing. Normally, I'd just leave the food on the porch, snap a photo, and head out. But something about the place gave me the creeps. It didn't feel right. I decided to knock one more time, and just as I raised my hand, the door creaked open, just a crack. "Hello?" I called out. Silence. The smell hit me before I even stepped closer. It was faint at first, like something rotting, but it got stronger the longer I stood there. My gut was screaming at me to leave, but I needed to finish the delivery. I tried to peek inside through the small opening, but the house was dark, too dark. Just as I was about to turn around, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from inside the house. They got closer, and then, without warning, the door swung open all the way. There was a man standing there. Mid-40s, maybe older, but it was hard to tell in the poor light. His clothes were filthy, like he hadn't changed in days, and his eyes were hollow. Lifeless. He didn't say a word. Just stared at me. I cleared my throat and held out the food. "Your order," I said, trying to sound casual. He didn't move. Didn't blink. I started to feel panic rising in my chest, and just as I was about to leave the food and bolt back to my car, he finally spoke.
You shouldn't have come here.
The way he said it, calm, matter of fact, made my blood run cold. Before I could respond, I saw movement behind him. Something, or someone, was standing in the shadows, just beyond the doorway. I couldn't make out any details, but I knew I wasn't imagining it. There was someone else in the house. My instincts kicked in. I dropped the bag of food on the porch and backed away, trying to stay calm. The man didn't say anything else. He just stood there, watching me with that same empty expression. I don't know how I made it back to my car, but the second I got in, I locked the doors and floored it out of there. My heart was racing the entire drive back, and that smell, it lingered in my nose the whole way home. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, so I looked up the address, curious to see what I could find. What I found still haunts me. The house had been vacant for years. No one was supposed to be living there. But someone, or something, was. To this day, I don't know who, or what, I delivered food to that night. But I'll never accept another order from that area again. No amount of money is worth what I felt that night. And if you're out delivering food late at night, be careful. You never know what's waiting behind that door.